Hello everyone, I'm Dai Shinai. First of all, I wish you all a happy new year. In different religions and cultures, numbers have their own interpretations and meanings. But do these numbers really represent good luck or misfortune? Today, let's talk about this topic. In Chinese culture, the number 8 is seen as a symbol of good fortune and luck. This is because the pronunciation of 8 is very similar to the word fa, which means to prosper in Chinese. As a result, many people believe that the number 8 brings prosperity. It is believed to bring wealth and good luck. Especially during times like the New Year, many people give out red envelopes, and they often use the number 8 in their combinations. In many business transactions, weddings, or other celebratory events, people frequently choose numbers related to 8 to add an auspicious atmosphere. But this isn't unique to Chinese culture. Western cultures also have their own interpretations of numbers. What about the number 7? In Western culture, it is considered a lucky number, which is closely related to their religious and cultural traditions. For example, in the Bible, 7 days are seen as the time period in which the world was created. Similarly, the number 3 is also regarded as a lucky number in the West because of the concept of the Holy Trinity in Christianity. Of course, there are also some numbers that are considered unlucky. For instance, in Chinese culture, the number 4 is seen as inauspicious because of its pronunciation. The pronunciation is very similar, so you'll notice that many hotels or restaurants deliberately avoid having a 4th floor or a room number 4. As for the number 13, in Western culture, it is also considered an unlucky number. Many people believe that these numbers can bring misfortune. All of this is related to historical events, certain legends, or our understanding of the pronunciation of numbers. Different beliefs and cultural backgrounds shape our views on numbers, which leads to some numbers being regarded as lucky. Others, on the other hand, are considered unlucky. However, as we have continued to study numbers more deeply over the years, we have found that, in fact, numbers cannot simply be categorized as lucky or unlucky. This is because the phenomena associated with numbers actually reflect bits and pieces of information from our lives, and every experience and event that happens in our lives are all determined by our own actions and choices. Our actions, in turn, are deeply influenced by our beliefs, thoughts, and perceptions. Each person responds differently to their environment, relationships, and the challenges they encounter in life. Even when faced with the same situation, different people will react in completely different ways. These reactions are also reflected in our behaviors and decisions, from our understanding of various things and environments, to the formation of our thoughts, to the choices we make in life, and the process behind each of our actions. All of these are reflected in the numbers phenomenon information of each individual life. This information is not altered by our subjective biases. For example, we say the number 4 is considered unlucky and sequences containing the number 4 are inauspicious. Does that make it unlucky? Actually, that's not the case. The information revealed by numbers phenomena is, in fact, objective information observed from a third-party perspective, and it does not change. When the number 4 appears in a combination of numbers, the information it presents is consistent. For example, if a person's number combination indicates that they have a decisive, direct, and impulsive way of speaking, then their number combination will inevitably reflect information that matches these traits. Let's use a combination of numbers as an example. For instance, individuals with the number sequence 712896 tend to be more decisive and direct in their communication. This kind of communication style can easily lead to arguments with others, and once an argument occurs, it can further result in irrational behavior. Now, you might ask, teacher, do all people with this number sequence have the same information? Of course not. If we add any number to any position in the 712 number combination, for example 7123, 7124, or 27112, the information changes. The resulting communication style, way of thinking, mindset, emotions, the environment they choose to be in, and their physical and mental health status are all completely different. So why is it that people with this number combination tend to be more impulsive and intense in their speech? When we observe how they think about things, you'll notice that they are actually very easily influenced by others and tend to believe what others say. They often lack their own understanding of matters and also lack the ability to clearly distinguish right from wrong, even though their words may sound very forceful and they refuse to admit defeat. If your friends or family have these numbers, you'll notice that they don't recognize their own mistakes and are unwilling to admit them. When arguing, they're basically in a head-to-head standoff, but actually in their way of thinking, they are very easily influenced by external information. So, individuals who display this kind of information, whether in family or career, are prone to conflicts or arguments with others. Therefore, it's not that if we all use 888 or 999, these situations will disappear, because the number patterns around you reflect detailed information about every aspect of your life. In the past, I've had many experiences like this, because we've always been giving lectures both online and offline. Some live streaming teams have given us suggestions. They said that in today's society, you should promote lucky numbers. If you claim that they can attract romance, bring benefactors, ensure safety, and bring wealth, you'll attract a lot of interest and can make a substantial profit. After hearing this, I actually felt very helpless and anxious. Why do I feel helpless? It's because all of us hope for better lives, work, and health, but at the same time, we long to achieve results quickly and easily. So, in response to these various desires and needs in the market, all kinds of industries have sprung up, claiming to quickly change your luck, attract wealth, and bring benefactors. When you open some shopping platforms, you'll find that these kinds of products are endless. Because we are increasingly inclined to seek instant luck and success, we wish that if we visit a temple today, we could get a promotion and a raise tomorrow. But we must understand that each of us is a completely unique individual. Our ways of thinking, attitudes, family environments, eating habits, interpersonal relationships, and the ways we deal with every challenge in life are all different. In this world, there is no single approach that can meet everyone's needs. There is also no health product that is suitable for everyone's constitution, and even less so a product that can quickly solve everyone's issues with petty people or gossip or make everyone rich overnight. This is simply impossible. We must face the fact that each of us is experiencing a unique life journey, and we are all going through this one-of-a-kind process with our limited time. So if we can truly recognize the numbers phenomena around us and the information they present, which gives us the opportunity for such reflection, then in life, when we encounter so-called petty people, gossip, or even investment failures, we won't resort to certain choices. Just for the sake of satisfying some of our immediate desires, there are superficial products out there. Since there is such demand in the market, it's only natural that this kind of supply will emerge. This is quite normal. In this process, the actual effectiveness of many so-called auspicious or lucky products seems to become less important. What matters more is that buyers feel as if they have gained some kind of satisfaction or psychological comfort, while the middlemen also make some profit from it. And as for the sellers, they also make huge profits from this. Products like these are extremely lucrative. In fact, this reflects a rather regrettable and sad aspect of human society. We are all living in this very flashy and restless way of life now, but what we really need to recognize is that there are actually no such things as lucky numbers in our lives. Combinations like 888, 999, or 666 simply reflect a longing for a better life. What we must face is that each of our life journeys is completely unique. Every change and every experience that happens in our lives is something we need to acknowledge. However, we lack channels to truly face and understand the multi-layered information within our own lives. As a result, we seek quick ways to achieve certain outcomes. When such needs exist, a corresponding market supply inevitably emerges. Some people are even willing to spend a fortune to buy phone numbers or license plates with these so-called lucky numbers. But we must understand that numbers like these do indeed carry their own unique information rather than simply assuming they mean prosperity, 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 or something similar. For example, the number 888, when it appears in an individual's information, actually reflects a mindset full of concerns. And in terms of behavior, it tends to indicate a very strong passivity. When 888 becomes 881, 882, or 883, the information it conveys is completely different. In the process of researching numbers phenomena over the years, if we cater to human desires for the sake of profit and sell products that don't reflect reality under the guise of changing one's luck, we may indeed make huge profits in the short term. However, in the long run, this only fuels our unwillingness as humans to face the greed and ignorance within our own lives. This is also why whenever there are all sorts of opportunities for us to collaborate on these kinds of products we know are just hype for quick profits, we always feel a deep sense of helplessness. I am truly grateful for this goodwill from the bottom of my heart. However, as someone who has been engaged in the study of numbers phenomena for a long time, I deeply understand that numbers phenomena are the manifestation of information in each individual's life process, and that every living being is an incredibly precious existence. To casually try to change one's fortune through so-called lucky numbers, if it doesn't work, there may not be much loss, but every number actually contains unique information. When you don't understand numbers phenomena, you can't foresee what kind of long-term impact and effect this information will have on your life. At the same time, these effects are subtle and imperceptible. Your cognition, thinking, behavioral habits, ways of interacting with others, and even your surrounding environment will all gradually change. These changes cannot simply be categorized as positive or negative. It is a comprehensive change that requires specific understanding and analysis. For example, you might face divorce due to changes in your cognition, interests, hobbies, and lifestyle habits because your perspective has changed, your understanding of life is different, and your interests have shifted. So when you are no longer the same person you used to be, and you are faced with the same people, you will naturally make different decisions. Or, due to changes in your sense of responsibility, your abilities, your direction, and your personal plans, you might consider changing jobs. It's also possible that you might suddenly develop a serious illness because your lifestyle, eating habits, and mental state are all very different from before. In fact, over the years, we have witnessed many similar cases like this. Through some so-called feng shui or fortune-telling masters, people randomly change the numbers around them, like using sequences such as 888666 or 131311414. So what happens when these numbers patterns are altered? The person's eating habits may change significantly, or various aspects of their life, such as their exercise routines, hygiene habits, and social habits, may also shift. This also includes changes in their mindset and emotions, which become completely different from before. If these changes have a relatively negative impact, for example, if their previous eating habits were quite light, but after such arbitrary adjustments, their diet becomes much heavier in flavor. At the same time, their previously stable sleep schedule turns into a long-term, irregular routine. This kind of mindset and emotional state may give rise to irritability, and the negative effects on physical health are self-evident. So, as we continue to deepen our understanding of numbers phenomena, we become increasingly cautious, because we know that this is not just a string of numbers, but involves the process of a life, the stability and future of a family, and even the development of a business. Every pair of digits can represent tens of thousands of sets of information. When the length of the number sequence reaches the length commonly used in our daily lives, the information it presents contains every experience and every choice that each life presents throughout its journey. At the same time, we also transmit the information formed by these comprehensive factors, such as habits, behaviors, mindsets, and values, into the life process of the next generation through the phenomenon of numbers. So the more you come to understand numbers phenomena, the more you realize that in this world there is actually no such thing as luck or misfortune. Everything is shaped and formed by each and every one of us, bit by bit, and this entire process of formation is reflected in the numbers phenomena of every individual life. In fact, every time I talk with you all, there are so many topics I want to explore together because the scope that numbers phenomena cover in our lives is truly vast. So for now, let's end our discussion here. Thank you all for watching and accompanying me. See you next time.